Ananda and her team. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to participating in a very refreshing, something that can energize you, an immersion into the Ramayana. Of course, I should have been here for all the 2-3 days to see each and every one of the performance and listen to every one of those scholarly talks. I don't seem to have the luck to have that. But this little participation, I'm indeed very grateful. I've known by being in Hyderabad and also by being away, even as we were away and quite at a distance from one another, I've watched Ananda with a lot of reverence. There was an attempt also to see if I can draw on her scholarship and also the way in which she innovatively presents Bharatanatyam to sets of school children, because I was in Hyderabad running a school which I thought was very out of the usual run-of-the-mill school, and therefore I did a lot of experiment. And one such scholarly hand-holding that I benefited from was from Ananda. She made a very big impact on our children, and that actually has left I would imagine, a lifelong impression on those children as well. So, in a way, my association with Ananda starts with probably her mother when she was running in Secunderabad, the dance school, to which I used to take my daughter and few others. But of course, my daughter came out of it earlier, realizing she was not that nimble-footed, but she went into music, and she plays the tabla today. And that's where the association started, and therefore I've had the benefit of even getting associated with her mother for the wonderful institution that she runs. But let me first appreciate her for having chosen the name Ramayana Kalpavrksam. Naturally, all of us who have had something to do with Telugu literature do appreciate the fact that it is the magnum opus of Kavi Samrat, Vishwanatha Satyanarayana. I don't read Telugu, but I do enjoy listening to Telugu. I've heard a bit of it. I've had also somewhat some exposure to good poetry read out in Telugu. Of course, all the Tyagaraja Swami Kritis, of course, the Bhadrachala Ramadasa Kritis, unbelievable. They're all outstanding examples of the beauty of Ramayana and also the sweetness of the language Telugu. So it's nice that you picked up that name from Vishwanatha Satyanarayana, the first Jnanpith awardee in Telugu and also Padma Bhushan recipient in 1971. So I just have two major chunks on which I would want to share my thought, not taking too much of your time because all of us will love to see the performance. Ramayana is certainly a Kalpavriksha. I don't need to tell, because I'm one of those probably 100th generation of people who are listening, hearing, breathing, and also understanding, knowingly or unknowingly, so much of Ramayana. And sometimes when you do relate and connect yourself to it, you realize how this one life story of a great Purushottama, a man who was born to be a human being, but who acquired by steady practice all the divine qualities, and therefore we refer to him as Purushottama, Maryada Purushottama, as they would in the north. So it is not just in a metaphysical sense or a metaphorical sense, but it is indeed a Kalpavriksha, because it's a storehouse of so many things that Indian culture can refer to, and I've just randomly listed 7 different ways in which our culture is so strongly influenced by the Ramayana, whether it is oral storytelling, whether it is written text, theater, dance, visual arts. I'm just going one by one, just so that we recall for a moment where the strong flavor the wonderful fragrance of Ramayana has spread in all our daily lives. So if I were to take dance as the first example, it's of course strongly seen in many of the classical dance, whether it is Bharatanatyam, Odissi, Kathak or whatever, or Kuchipudi as we are in Andhra. Even traditional theatre styles, whether they are Ramlila, Yakshagana or Kudiyattam, all of them have very strong Ramayana influence. The temple architecture and the number of temples which are devoted to Rama, whether the icon inside the Moolasthana Murti is in stone or any other Navabhashanam or any other material, Rama has been always the most loved God to be in the form of a temple, installed in a temple. Now, literature, again, is very strongly influenced, whether it is the Tamil Ramavataram, or Telugu's Ranganatha Ramayanam, or Bengal's Krittivasi Ramayanam. You have Ramayana in every language. So, latest, of course, in our generation, belonging to 20th century, is Rajaji's own Chakravarti Thirumagan. And then you had A.K. Ramanujam writing about so many different Ramayanas. So Ramayana has that, beautiful quality of a nice fragrance which wafts in the air and influences all of us. Then, of course, in music, I've already mentioned Tyagaraja or Bhadrachala or Tulsi. All of them Rama bhajans, both in Hindustani and also in Carnatic. Then if you go over to the arts, there are Patachitras of Orissa, stone carvings of Tamil Nadu, even the Panchaloha and bronze statues, which are made now for over centuries. All of them had Rama as the theme. So you find that Ramayana has had a very strong influence in so many different things, which today, in a very kacha language, we say soft power. It includes all this, but each one is so rich, they deserve to be given that kind of an individual attention. You also have, and one book which has impressed me and influenced me, which I go back, and the book is in tatters now, but I do go back to refer, is the Lectures on Ramayana by Srinivasa Sastry. What a beautiful collection of lectures, all of which have been compiled into a book form, where you are not reading A to Z from Balakantam and other going up to Pattabhishekam. It is more the analysis of each of the character for what they are and what is it that we can learn from them, so that actually the lectures on Ramayana actually tell you, with all the human failings, even Rama had anger. He had to make efforts to control. Rama also indulged himself sometimes in sitting and having some fruits of his choice or drinks of his choice, but yet never forgot that he had a role to play in carrying out his Rajadharma or the duty, or simply complying to the expectations of the time, Desha, Kala, Dharma, that he had to perform. So no wonder he's, as I said, the Purushottama. So if Rama had an influence, Ramayana had an influence on all of us, whether it is in these very many different forms, the influence is just not confined to the geographical location of India. The influence is spread so far and wide. I just want to very quickly touch upon the various influences that Ramayana has had, particularly in Southeast Asia, where retellings and adaptations are even today very, very sought after. I'll start here by the one major international seminar which was held in Delhi in 1975, and the curator of that one seminar on Ramayana tradition was no less than Dr. V. Raghavan, who had actually gone into the depths of Ramayana, and that international seminar spoke about so much on Ramayana tradition. Now, in that seminar, Ramayana tradition in Asia was one of the issues discussed. There, Dr. V. Raghavan very clearly establishes that local geographies have also had the influence in those countries, have had the influence of Ramayana. That is why you find Ravana's kote in Sri Lanka, meaning the palace of Ravana. And then you also have Ayutthaya, which is Ayodhya, but in Thailand. You also have Yogyakarta, which is nothing but the name of Ayodhya given to Yogyakarta, as they would start to say, but in Indonesia. I know from the booklet which is issued on this program that you've given names of rivers associated with the Ramayana. And that is here. You've used Sarayu, Mandakini, Pampa, and also Ramayana. River Sarayu exists in East Java even today. It's called Serayu. You also have a cave in Java which is called Kishkinda. And you also have a Setu Benda, which is Setu Banda, in East Java, which is a city in East Java. So you also have groups which are called charms. The charms also themselves claim that they are descendants of the Vanara. So the Vanara descendants live there, and they are calling themselves charms. The king of Thailand, who belongs to the Chakri dynasty, even now has Pattabhisheka Sampradaya, very much derived out of our own sacred books, and follows the Rama Nam. The name of the king is Rama 1, Rama 2, and so on. Even the latest king of Thailand was to go through a process of Pattabhisheka, very much like the way Rama Pattabhisheka happened without much of a distortion. Now, in July, when I went to Indonesia for attending the G20 conference, I had the luck of meeting up with somebody called Sri Vayan Dibya. Vayan Dibya is a Padma awardee. India in 2021 gave him the Padma Shri award. Why is he known? He is known because he has done more than 150 works based on the Ramayana in different ways. They've evolved their own style of narrating the Ramayana story. And if I can just recall, I went in to see one of the performances, and that was called Kechak, which was in Bali. We were very much in an ambience like this, but a larger crowd sitting in an amphitheater watched the monkey chant. Kechak in Indonesian stands for monkey chant. It is a beautiful, no music, no nothing, but they themselves sing and clap hands and do the Ramayana story. So it is the Kechak is a very popular tourist attraction. Anyone who goes to Java, Bali, watches this play, and this is also one of the contribution of Vayan Dibya, who received the Padma Shri award. Now, other than that, there are notable versions in Southeast Asia. I would very quickly refer to them. Thailand has a Rama Kain, which is nothing but the story of Rama. And in that, Rama is called as Praram, and Sita is called as Sida, and Ravana is called Totsaken. But the story is very much our Ramayana story. Similarly, in Laos, you have a Ramayana, and even today they perform it, but it is said as two brothers' story, Rama and Lakshmana's story there. In Cambodia, it's called Ramkar, but Ramayana. And of course, in Cambodia, many of you all must have visited the Angkor Wat, which has so many of the stories of Ramayana chiseled on their walls. Indonesia and Bali also, other than the Kechak, have Kakawin Ramayana, which is very sought after by the tourists, and beautifully and delicately the story of Ramayana is narrated. In Philippines, in a particular language, Maranao, which is a very strong language of the South Philippines, which is now spread all over. Probably very few people speak that language now, but they also have a portrayal of Rama as a noble king, and it's called, Ravana is also given a very respectable role. He's treated as a noble king, and it is called Maharadhya Lavana, that Ramayana version, Myanmar treats Ramayana as part of the Jataka tales. And therefore, Jataka tales, it's called Yamazatva. And that is called also Ramayana, but it's part of the Buddhist Jatakas. Malaysia has a Hikayat Seri Rama, which also brings in Ramayana with some Islamic elements of good morals which are being taught, and Malay folklore is also added. So in Vietnam, lastly, Truan Q, the tale of the king, tale of Q, is also one of the very important ways in which Ramayana is depicted. And it's also received a lot of attention from the tourists who go there. And unhesitatingly, most of their symbols in the country do reflect. And I'm sure many of you all would have noticed these performances when you travel. In conclusion, without taking much of your time, even all of us would love to see the performance. I congratulate Ananda for conceptualizing a program like this. It's a very important contribution that she and many artists are going to make in keeping alive the story of Ramayana, not because it is sacred. Yes, it is sacred. But it has eternal values, and it has such values which each one of us can imbibe and have it as a relevant code for us. Actually, if we each understand, once you follow Swadharma, to whatever extent today, and you improve on it tomorrow and day after and so on, practice of Swadharma itself, not so much for the other's sake, but for your inner calm and inner strength, there's nothing better than following your Swadharma, whichever be it. And that is where India's moral strength lies, and that's what is going to keep India strong as a civilization without having to fight a war or take to arms. Our Swadharma is the one which makes India different from anybody else. I also congratulate P.P. Rajugaru for the wonderful calligraphy through which he's shown how Ramayana can be viewed, and Dr. Anupama Kailash for being the co-collaborator. These are all great efforts in keeping up a great story, great literature, and again, going back to referring to Kavi Samrat, Vishwanatha Satyanarayana Garu in Andhra Pradesh, in Telangana, in Telugu-speaking lands, is actually a big service that we do for the language as well. So thank you, Ananda, for this wonderful evening.